I was a young detective constable working in Hertfordshire Constabulary on the 7th of July, and I'd been trained by SO13, that's the anti-terrorist branch here in London, to be a bomb scene examiner. So I was an officer who could be called into London or some other part of the country to help SO13 if they were responding to a terrorist attack, or conduct searches or support them in some way. And I remember sitting in the Special Branch Office, which was our intelligence unit in Hertfordshire, and I was watching this unfold on TV, and I did that thing that police officers shouldn't really do. I didn't wait to be deployed. I spoke to my line manager and grabbed a car and all my kit and equipment and drove straight down to London to be here as quick as I could. And I arrived in our forensic management team. These were the officers and staff that were, leading the response at the scenes to gather the evidence and recover those that had been unfortunately killed in the incident. So, and I in essence stayed here for a very long time afterwards, supporting that activity. I arrived to something I would describe as a really high pace of activity, the sorts of activity you would expect policing to be doing at a terrible incident like this. But of course, this was on a scale and a type of incident we'd never seen. But I was struck by all of those counter-terrorism officers from SO13 that I met, their professionalism, their commitment to finding who was responsible for this attack, but their overwhelming compassion for victims, for those involved. That compassion extended to how they recovered those that were deceased from the attacks. I was struck by the end of that first day to see the professionalism and the pace they were working at. I never wanted to work anywhere else. I really only ever wanted to work with this group of people who I thought were some of the most impressive people I'd ever seen. And just the way that commitment portrayed itself to their service to the public and the victims was overwhelming for me. So I had been a Hertfordshire officer for nearly 12 years at that point, but I never really went back to Hertfordshire. I stayed here then and have been here in counter-terrorism for the rest of my career. Yeah, one of the things that counter-terrorism does really well, and still does today, by the way, really well, is we're very self-reflective of everything that happens. So all of our successful disruptions, all of our investigations, all of our responses to terrorist attacks, we take a great deal of care to review how those things have happened and how we've performed. And that's exactly what happened after the 7th of July, and then of course the 21st of July, where there was another round of thankfully unsuccessful attacks. Some very, very forward-thinking senior leaders in counter-terrorism in London at the time got together with other officers from around the country who had helped and played a key role in the 7/7 investigation, particularly up in West Yorkshire, and worked through what a different model of operating would look like. And so, almost immediately, within 12 months really of 7/7, SO15 was born of a change in how London shaped its response to terrorism, and increasingly worked even more closely with MI5 as our main intelligence partner. And of course, still informed by 7/7, within the next year or two, we then saw the creation of counter-terrorism units within what is now CT policing in different parts of the country. So this was no longer about London projecting terrorism response across the country, but forces around the country taking regional responsibility to come together and work together to respond. So 7/7 was a seminal moment that changed the structure of CT policing, and whilst of course we've changed as a result of events and threats since then, we learnt a lot on 7/7, and that sustains us in terms of our regional model today.